Hello, welcome back. I'm Tom Van Ness. This is Guide Through Grief. I'm your host, your guide through multiple conversations about grief and how, really, remember, there's no right or wrong way. There's no Grieving for Dummies book out there. It's going to be your way, it's going to be at your pace, and it is all okay. And I'm excited to continue to share some of my stories and experiences with you of my grief journey as we build closer and closer to one of our first interviews and roundtable discussions with a group of widowers that I'm really looking forward to having in just a couple episodes. But before that, I want to invite back a co-host that was with us early on in the season, but he's been my guide. He's been my co-host for years. I don't know what I'd do without him. Say hello, my fellow guide.
Hello, Tom.
So,
Good to be here.
yeah, remind our listeners, in case
Sure.
we have some new listeners that haven't started in listening to earlier episodes, like I think episode 3 is when you were here. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell our folks about you?
Sure. My name is Dr. Ryan Stivers. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist here in the Peoria area. My wife and I are in practice together and have been so for, about 8 to 10 years now, somewhere in there. But yeah, that's me.
And I've been with Ryan, I think, for like around 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, Leslie and I did, well, actually, I've done a lot of just work with Ryan. Leslie came in and joined me a lot of times on some sessions where, we did a lot of work together and we came out swinging, not like against each other, like for each other. I talked a little bit about in our earlier episode together of how awesome it was to be like experiencing the most blissful, wonderful marriage I could imagine leading up to Leslie passing away. And that, that was a lot of my grief. That was a lot of my bitterness. That was a lot of my sadness. I would say at the start, I don't know if I really came through like a true like anger wave. Like I in a lot of my grief study, I saw like people go through this like big like described as like an anger wave
Right.
and get really angry at
Yes.
things. Um, like I could get stressed out at some stuff, but I never felt like I came into a huge amount of anger like I read. But this was the closest I got to it, was just being frustrated that we had done so much hard
Right.
work together and we had like,
That was taken away.
yeah, and it was just taken away. And, but to that point, like the boys and I never asked, God, why any of this happened. And I think I even remember telling you at some session, like, why was a question I did not want to allow in our house. I didn't want to
do
allow in
remember
our
that.
head
Yeah.
because it was, to me, to me, it was a gateway drug. Like if you started to allow why to penetrate
Okay.
your heart, your mind, your spirit, you were allowing, or maybe in other words, to me, I felt like it was a slap to God.
Okay. Like you were letting him down.
Not letting him down, but like after all he has done so far, as far as being there for us, and supporting us and loving
Okay.
us, like I felt like I wasn't justified to ask why.
Okay. Like you
Like,
didn't get to. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there
Yeah.
was all these breadcrumbs through my grief journey that I talk about, like with Father Patrick in an
Right.
earlier episode, and I've talked about with you in our sessions. There were so many little things that happened and came up, like I just felt and knew God was there. So, like asking God, like, why would you do this?
Right.
Or why would you do this? No, either way, was that out of despair or anger, and those were emotions that I just never felt in any of this grief. And
Okay.
so I think today, I start getting a little ahead of myself, today, and in this session, I wanted to talk about kind of like some different stories that we had and experiences that I had and that I came to you with that talk about how I had to learn how to ask for help, have levels of acceptance of the reality I was facing, of the acceptance of what I went through. I think there's a lot of stories from the couch, even though you do have a couch in your office.
We could probably incorporate a couch
We
somehow.
could, yeah,
Maybe that would make
like one of
things a
those
little
little
more
therapist couch, like,
realistic. Yeah.
yeah, another myth. Like Ryan doesn't have one of those
No, I
couches you lay
don't.
on and
Oh
has
my
like little
gosh.
fancy ends, like where you lay there and no, it's just like a regular couch and it's comfy. There's like a pillow if you want to hold on to it. There's a little table. Like
Yeah.
it's cool. It's a
Yeah.
nice, comfy couch.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I want to talk about some stories from the couch
Okay.
and how they helped me evolve in my grief journey and how therapy helped me evolve that. I think you also have some great questions
Mm-hmm.
too that
Mm-hmm.
some are similar to what you've asked in sessions, but some are not. I think there may be even kind of questions and conversations you might hold back from having with me in a therapy session. And we talked about, kind of boundaries and what we're okay with here. And I think talking about some of those questions and going through those are going to be extremely interesting for our listeners and for me as well. So
Okay.
I'm excited about all of that. But
Yeah.
before we got to come back,
Oh,
we're still doing the game.
We got to do the game. I was trying to get you away from that so you would forget.
So, so I'm gonna let you go first because I think I went first last time. So,
Okay.
it's we're not really strangers. It's a way. One of us got something last time where we didn't really know that about the other. So,
Okay. So I close my eyes here. All right, drum roll.
what'd you do? What level?
I just picked 2. I have no idea what 2 is.
Okay.
What is level 2?
Pull it on the back. It's on the backside.
Ooh, connection.
Ooh,
Oh. Okay, here we go.
we have no connection. I'm very scared here.
If you could have it, your way, who would you be with? Where would you be? And what would you be doing? Oh my
Ooh.
gosh. If I could have it my way. Oh, well, I love to travel.
Who with?
My wife, but maybe throw Dave Matthews in there too.
Just had to ask.
Yeah.
It said,
yeah,
where do you want to
yeah,
go? Who
yeah,
with? All those things. So I
yeah.
just making
Oh my
sure.
gosh, there's so many places I want to go. I'm a big foodie, so I would want to eat myself across France, Italy. Enjoy that with my wife. That would be a lot of fun. If I would love to go see Dave Matthews and tour in Europe sometime.
Okay.
That would be a lot of fun.
And we talked about a few of the friends I've met along the way,
Yeah.
like did the Europe
Yeah.
tour last year.
Yeah.
Like it sounded crazy.
Yeah, I bet it
Like
was.
hopping around from town to
Oh, my
town on
word.
trains with trunks
yeah.
and bags and
Yeah, it's so easy to get around over there too.
yeah, the whole
Gosh.
nother level. Very cool.
All right, cool.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
All
your
right, pass
turn.
the box over my way.
Your turn. Oh,
Connection. I don't know if I've done a level 2, so we'll stick with
let's
that.
step outside your comfort zone, Tom.
New favorite level.
What you got?
A therapy session.
Okay, let's do it. This is free. Go.
Level 2 connection. We're not really strangers. What are you still trying to prove to yourself?
Ooh, yes. I think I've actually asked you that question before in therapy.
Well, if we're gonna keep it serious, I think I'm still trying to prove to myself that I'm good enough for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know me well enough that a huge chunk of my life was just living in the shadows and living to the expectations of our family business and everything associated with that. And now with grief, battling the expectation I feel other people have of me and where I should be at this point in my grief journey or at any point leading to this is really hard because of like that people pleasing excuse and how I want to worry about everyone else. And so I'm still trying to prove myself that I'm good enough for me. I don't need to worry about other people until I worry about myself first. I guess in a much simpler way, if you've flown, remember when they tell you to put on your mask first
Right.
and then your child's? I have blatantly ignored that for 42 years. It's only been the last year I've started to realize what I did. So that's what I'm still trying to prove to myself. So there we go.
Cool.
So with that, good segue. Seriously, did not
Right.
plan to do that.
Right. It's kind of weird how that works out sometimes.
Um, in my grief, I put a lot of focus on the boys. Put a lot of focus on wanted to worry about Leslie's parents. I did weird things like not talk to my mom because my boys no longer had a mom.
Mm,
So like that's I was trying to put myself in their shoes. Like I remember having that conversation with you in
yeah.
November. I remember 3 hours. I did that from the parking lot at my employer over in Bloomington.
Mhm.
I remember a couple hours later driving back over to Morton, calling my mom in the car, telling her what I realized I've been doing. That was the same day I started running.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah. I had been hesitant to go into the gym
Yeah.
and hesitant to start working out. And I was telling my mom about everything that I had done about from our conversation. And so then I just started like saying, I just don't know why well, here's why I'm scared to go into the gym and start and why I've been hesitant recently. And she reaffirmed that I just need to shut up and stop finding excuses and go in and do it. Just like how a mother would.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to hide from was exactly what I needed to hear. Of just having an acceptance that it's not okay the boys don't have a mom, but it's okay that I talk to my mom, even
Yeah.
though the boys don't have a mom.
Yeah. 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 And you would do that, not necessarily go down any other paths, but you would do that in so many different ways. Like you would be doing self-care and just feel so torn up that you're doing this thing like with for a friend, like maybe a friend has a celebration or something, right? And you're off doing that thing with a friend and you know that your boys are back home, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, and, the biggest layer of acceptance I avoided was what I personally went. I still battle with that. I always kind of try to put myself 2nd, or 3rd. I grew up going to summer camp where we, like, had the saying, "I'm 3rd,"
Yeah.
God 1st, others 2nd,
Yes.
I'm 3rd.
Yes.
Um, that was a place I felt we've talked about that summer camp a lot. We've talked about the negative impacts that had on me as a
Right.
child and how
Right.
that led into today.
Right. A lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of people can relate.
yeah. I mean, and these are things that have actually no relation to Leslie's passing
Exactly.
whatsoever,
Yeah. But it plays a part.
but it plays a part of how you
Yeah.
respond to trauma, how you respond
Right.
to things like grief. And what I was unwilling to accept. See, I don't even want to talk about it now. I've taken 7 minutes to say this next line. For 7 days, I had to sit in the hospital, powerless, and watch my wife die. All while my kids were 30 minutes away, and I got no one. I don't have a partner to talk to. I don't have a parent and a partner to help with the kids, to help with decisions around the house, to help with the laundry, to stay home with the boys while I go to the grocery store, to make it 45 minutes away to an 8 a.m. meeting when they can't go to school till 7:45. I'm just crying and have no one to just sit there with. I didn't want to recognize any of it. I didn't want to
Right.
experience any of
Right.
it.
Right.
I didn't want to accept any part of that reality. I wanted to worry about Leslie's parents losing their daughter. I wanted to worry about the boys losing their mother.
Right.
I wanted to worry about Leslie's friends losing their best friend. Those,
And
to me, were all more significant than what I went through.
yeah. And for some reason, you did not see that it was okay for you to feel any, that, remember going back and looking through some material, and I had noted that Tom does not think it's okay to feel anything other than okay, right?
Yeah.
And hearing you talk about it right now, it's like that's what you were doing to not feel your own pain and hurt. And
Yeah. Yeah. And then you take the things like the Dave Matthews concerts,
yeah.
um, where if you came and you listened to episode 3, in so far my grief journey, I've gone to 18 shows, I think, or so. You know, let's take a second to add some levity. Um, and people are gonna be like, "What did he just do?" Yeah, there's been 6 shows at the Gorge. There's been 2 at Madison Square Garden, Vegas. There was a night.
Hmm.
There was 4 nights in Deer Creek. There was a night in Tampa. There was a night in Dallas. Technically, I guess 2 shows at Alpine. One was
Yeah.
tornadoed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those were just. I'm just trying to look at all of the different shows and places.
You were surrounded by it.
Yeah. Um, so there was a lot of Dave shows, and um, the Dave shows we talked about in that episode. It was the lead up to the shows that were what I subconsciously or knowingly used to not address
Right.
my grief
Right.
when I had things handled with the boys, with Leslie's parents. I used then the shows and the
Hmm.
planning and who I was going to ask.
Hmm. To feel in control,
Yeah.
to have some sense of normalcy, and hey, I actually have a grasp on something that feels comfortable for
Hmm.
me.
Yeah. And I could worry
Yeah.
about controlling that
Exactly. If it
without
felt
like
comfortable.
addressing what I went through,
Yeah.
and I think that,
Yeah. Completely normal response to grief.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's go to your stories. Is there another story or a question on your mind before we dive into my next topic
Oh,
that, you know,
wow. Yeah, let me look here really quick. I think what really stood out to me as I was watching you go through this, and we're already talking about it, but Tom, the amount of loss that you had already experienced even before
yeah,
Leslie's death was just it was so much. Um and not just your own individual loss, but you were experiencing loss within your own family.
mhm,
So it's like multiple levels of loss all at once. I mean, when you started to see me, Tom, one of the things that you were working on was loss. It was 2 friends and a cousin, right?
yeah, yeah,
Had died at that point in your life.
yeah. 2, um, 2 of my best friends had passed away within 5 years of each other.
Right.
The first one committed suicide
Yeah.
on the birthday of our other friend,
Yeah.
who died years later, 4 or 5 years later. Those 2 were guys that were roommates of mine. We grew up playing little league soccer together. We ran the neighborhoods together. Um, they were 2 of my ride or die friends.
Right.
I have another friend that I grew up with, played football with. This guy did not have as great of a family upbringing, so he spent a lot of holidays with us. Was one of those kids we were trying, we loved having him around the house, and we just were so excited. Such a talented kid musically and athletically. Um, he had to spend like a semester at home at community college to get a full ride wrestling scholarship
Mm.
over at the school in Iowa. And it was like a month before he left, he was shot in the back and murdered. Those were some losses that I experienced
Yeah.
prior that were significant in my life. I think when we met, I had 2 of my 4 grandparents still around. Both my grandmas had passed away. those were significant losses, but one that felt I was in my 30s and 40s when I lost my all of my grandparents, so I was pretty
Yes.
lucky. I mean,
Yeah.
they were older. I got a lot of experiences with them, um, but my grandpa on my mom's side
Yes.
was my best
Yes.
friend.
Spent a lot of time talking about him
Mhm.
and how important he was for you.
I look like him. I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
He was inspiration to me. Um, so Leslie passed away in April of 23. Grandpa passed away in April of 22,
Yeah. Yeah. For that.
and our family business sold
Yep.
in August of 21.
Yeah.
And my brother and I had big aspirations of,
Yeah.
hopefully getting the chance
And
to
that's a loss.
run the company one day.
Yeah, you and I
And
had a lot of sessions about the loss of
mhm,
career aspirations.
yeah, we were the sixth generation
Yeah.
in our family business.
Yeah.
And we have brought in the next generation. We were excited to see if that
Yeah.
was something they were going to be interested in. So yeah, we saw a consecutive amounts of time that consecutive years of loss on my radar of my career and how my life was going to be, and then losing my grandfather, and then losing Leslie. It just so happened that the last place I saw my grandfather was also the place
Yeah.
I lost Leslie.
Yeah. And that's also where you started your marriage, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was down in Florida.
Marco.
Yeah, Marco Island at my
Yeah.
grandpa's and grandma's place. I'd grown up there as a kid. Leslie and I went there for our honeymoon. We had started taking our kids there for every spring break. Um, as a side note, the kids this year started asking if we were going to go back to Florida soon or one of these times. That was a very interesting conversation to explain to them how I wasn't quite ready yet, but it's a conversation that I've learned that they would have been 10 and 8. Um, Kids can get those conversations if you're pretty open and transparent with them,
Yes.
especially when they've experienced similar grief. They get it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and that's one thing the boys and I do very well is we talk, we're honest, we're transparent. Um, there's been a lot of times I've told you this where I've walked right out the door
Yep.
of like out of my bedroom door where they're watching TV, and I'll just sit on the couch crying and I'll just
Mm-hmm.
say, "Boys, I'm having a hard day."
Right.
Um, in fact, it happened this morning. We've talked about music. Um, we get in the car. The boys are super into music. They love music. Sterling's taught himself how to play piano and now guitar. Cameron loves to sing. And we get in the car and we usually have time to listen to a song from our house to drop off line. And Zach Bryan's been a popular
Yeah.
choice for us, playing around the
Like
house
Zach
and being
Bryan.
heard. Yeah. And Pink Skies is a song all three of us like. But I don't think it was till this morning how the boys understood it impacted me. Because they
Okay.
just love the melody of it. They love
Uh,
the beat of it. It's laid back. It's like a easy morning kind
right.
of get
Right.
in,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
to them. They asked to play it, and that song's problematic for me. It's To me, I take that song as it's a husband who's lost his wife. They have kids,
So it hits you right in the gut.
and it talks about all of the pink skies they have left to enjoy because you taught them that, and how in parenting we were doing the same. We were just doing it through different lessons, trying to do the same
Right.
thing. And so it just hits hard. And that song, when I hear it too early in the day, spirals me for the day.
Yeah.
And the boys got in the car and they said, "Dad, can we listen to Pink Skies? Like it's kind of rainy today. Like there's that kind
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
it's just that kind of pink sky morning."
Exactly.
I was like, "Boys, that's kind of hard for me today. Like this is a big day. I have a big podcast session coming up. I'm flying to Charleston this afternoon to go to Leslie's niece's graduation
Hmm.
without the boys, all of Leslie's family."
Mm.
And but I decided to go ahead and play it. But I tell them like it sometimes can make me pretty sad for the rest of the day. And so we play it, and I notice they're not singing at this time. They're listening to it. And it gets over just as we're pulling into to drop off line. And like the first break in the music towards the end, Cameron goes, "I understand why that song's hard for you, Dad." And like I can see his eyes
Mm.
like mine are right now. So I think these are just layers of acceptance that have been really good for the boys and I that we fully embrace. And it's like stories like this that
Yeah.
I've come with you
Yeah.
so many times
Right. Exactly.
that we're able to sit down and like dissect
Right.
like the
But
value of what happened and not reassurance, but we're able to make sense out of what happened.
so, if I can ask you a question,
Yeah.
what has it been like for you, Tom, to have your boys watch you grieve, especially in a moment like what happened this morning?
It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's scary. Like
Know what's scary about it?
what's scary about it is if I don't show them that it's okay to grieve.
Hmm.
Like I'm more scared to never walk out of the bedroom like with a dry face
Hmm.
than
Okay.
to like show them my tears because only because of our experience and I know the power of just not the power of therapy but the power of understanding your own makeup, your own mind, your own heart, your own spirit. Like if you can come be connected with yourself, you can understand, I think, the impact and role you have as a parent. And my belief is when we become parents, the kid doesn't have the choice of the family they're born into.
Of course.
It's the parents that make that choice. So we undoubtedly, unquestionably have to throw every bit of love and support at
Right.
our children.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. And we have to do it knowing our kids don't have to give it back.
Yeah.
Like we can never put that
Right.
expectation on our children of like, no matter
Yeah.
how hard I give you everything,
It's
Sterling and Cameron,
it's not their job to parent you.
I am never going to expect you to turn around and say, I love you back, or expect you to hug me back,
Yeah.
or expect you to show your tears back. Like one of my boys doesn't show his feelings as much as the other.
And that's okay.
And I never push him on that.
Yeah.
You know, I never ask him to hug me. I wish you would hug me more so you feel better. Like I don't say those things to him.
Right.
I don't know that's what he needs.
Right.
That's maybe what I feel like I need. I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't sit, I've
Exactly.
never have that battle with myself, but I can imagine as parents, that's conversations we can have. So when it comes to grief, I have to have my doors wide open for the boys to see that because no one else is going to teach them
Right.
and be there for them
Yep.
in these moments. And if they don't see those moments, how are they going to grow up as young men, grow up
Yeah.
as husbands, grow up as fathers without
Yeah.
that?
I really like what you're saying. What you're saying makes a lot of sense. But if I dare step into the therapy room for a second,
Yeah.
as I'm hearing you talk and my experience with you, one of the you know, yeah, you know what I'm doing here, Tom. You know what I'm doing. I feel like there is a unspoken, hidden expectation that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
And that has been, I need to get it right. I need to get this right. I need to get this right. I need to get my grief right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I need to get it right for my boys.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going. But yeah.
I'd be curious to know where you think that I'm going, but I think anybody going through a grieving process, including, you know, and present companies, included myself too, that you've got to give yourself enough space to be human. It's such a messy process that yes, I need to leave the door open for my boys, and I love that metaphor. I know you're literally talking about a door, but also metaphorically, they do need to see you grieve, but you also need to give yourself permission to grieve in a messily sort of way, because you're not going to get it right for your boys. You're not always going to get it right.
Yeah, and I think I thought you were going more
Yeah,
with like
let's
the
go.
the expectations I put on myself.
Well, that is one of the
Yeah,
expectations.
that's just more in
I was,
depth. That's
yeah,
just
yeah, it
more
was
like
more
that's more
specific.
focused and specific on that's probably the number one specificity
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
expectations that I put on myself is that I got to get it right.
Yeah.
And that definitely comes back from so many things of like
Right.
how I was raised,
Yes.
being in the family business, of that also then being media and all
Yes.
those things that come along with it and understanding the roles they have. But it's with grief, yeah, it's
I'm keep thinking. I'm thinking back to when you came home from Florida and giving me the heads up and our conversation about how do I tell the boys. And I think I remember saying something to the effect of, Tom, there's no right or wrong in this. You know,
Mhm.
just be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in another way that's evolved through this
Mm-hmm.
grief, especially with the
Right.
boys,
Right.
is um, there have definitely been moments where I've been messy,
Yeah. Of
like
course.
where I've lost my cool.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten like mad at them
Yeah.
over like some BS, like that so didn't deserve like my
Yeah.
voice to get
You're
raised.
human.
Yeah. I remember one time like I threw like they left like a toy on the island in the kitchen. And that is a daily conversation in our household of like, hey, the kitchen's not a place we have toys or play with toys or leave Nerf guns, or leave a football, whatever it may be. Um, and there was like a little Nerf gun there or something, and like I took it and like I opened up the door to the back deck and like I threw
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like
Throw this thing.
son of a
I'm mad at
bitch,
it.
and
Yeah,
boom,
exactly.
and it showed the boys who taught
Yeah.
sailors how to cuss and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
send it launching and um that's not a pretty moment.
No,
Like it's an embarrassing moment. And I know there's some people out there.
they've been there.
Well, there is some people out there who were close to me that openly judged me on some of those settings when I went and talked to them about,
Mm-hmm.
of like, that's kind of embarrassing how you acted.
Mm-hmm.
There was,
Right.
we joke about it now. I should, not the person who said this, where it happened in the group I was with. We were at a soccer tournament last fall for Sterling, championship game of a really long weekend. And we were at this championship game, and the boys were playing great. And two of our players got slide tackled. I spoke loudly to the ref, you got to blow your whistle or some kids are going to get hurt. And the ref blew his whistle, looked at me, and threw me out of the game.
You told me this story.
So he threw me out of this game. Really, it, everyone would say, even the other team, you're throwing him out of the game for that. Like,
Uh-huh.
I was just saying,
Uh-huh.
please blow your whistle. Kid's going to get hurt. Like, there was no expletives. I wasn't screaming it all game. Like, it just kind of came out because he was in earshot. And I lost my shit.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I lost it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I stood up and I was like, you're going to throw me out for this?
Uh-huh.
And he was like, sir, good evening. You need to leave the field. Are you serious? Like I'm now like standing up, swearing loudly, using language
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
my youngest
Yeah.
and others people's kids. I am acting out like we talk about anger not being
Yeah.
relevant a lot in my journey. Like
Yeah.
it came out here.
Yeah.
I went like 100 yards, hit around some porta potties, watched the rest of the game.
From behind the porta potties?
And
Those
the
are some
parent,
cheap seats.
yeah, and so parents were like, "Do you want me to FaceTime you to watch the game?" And I'm no, but like I remember after that happened, like the kids were really like
Right.
the kids turned around and like came back and I think won that game. The kids were really like excited. The parents even came up to me, goes, "Thank you for standing up for like some of the horrible officiating that's been there that weekend and was going on that game." Like it all got done. Like I was still embarrassed, but at least
Sure.
like people were like
They were in your
embracing.
corner.
They were in my
Yeah.
corner and they know that like those people all know what we've been through. So no one was
But
critical of it, but there was someone
yeah.
that was when we got home and when I was
Right.
talking to them about it,
Right.
and they were just like, "I don't know if I could be with you if you ever acted like that." Like
Right.
that was their first response of like, "How embarrassing is that? How embarrassing are you to ever like?" That was the
Right.
response,
Right.
and
And
that's the thing that
yeah.
makes it hard on myself because of those comments, because someone that's
Sure.
so
That
close to
makes a lot
me
of
and cares
sense.
about,
Yeah.
is so critical when I didn't think they were gonna be.
Right. Right. And I think, me not being there, me not seeing it, I think both of y'all have kind of a reason for that response and and to speak to that other person, I could see how they would react that way too. But in any situation, right, it can hindsight's always 2020. But you've got to be able to give somebody enough wiggle room and grace to be like, there's something more going on here than someone who's just some sort of disgruntled, you know, dad that's
Yeah.
just pissed off and losing his temper, right?
Mhm.
And that can be hard to do in situations for anybody when you're around somebody who's grieving, to think like that. Like this is what they actually need in that situation, right?
Mhm.
It's hard. Um, but then again, the damage is done on your end as well. It's like, well, I'm not gonna be authentic anymore. I'm not gonna feel my feelings anymore because the last time I did this, I was judged.
Yeah, and I think, it plays in with the acceptance of it because I think there's been to a point now where I've been more accepting of the severity of what I went through,
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah,
the severity of what I
yeah.
experienced and the loss that I had,
Right.
and I get very specific that in fact, it's an episode coming where I talk about comparison.
Oh yeah.
Comparison and empathy
Yes.
are like the opposite ends of the spectrum in
Yes.
grief. Okay.
Yes.
So like you have the
Yes.
really dark end that's comparison,
Yes.
and then the brighter end is empathy,
Yeah.
and in grief you have to start at
Right.
at one end
Yeah.
and work towards
Yeah. And it's
empathy.
so normal to start in that comparison space when you're grieving. It
Yeah.
is very normal and very common.
Yeah. And that comparison rears its head
Oh
a
yeah.
whole lot and keeps you from
Yes.
accepting the
Yes.
reality of it.
Com-
So
Comparison is shame's game. If you neglect your own experience and feelings, grief, whatever expectation is pulling you away from it, that you should be doing it this way, or I should be doing that, or other people are going to judge me, or I can't be whatever it is,
yeah.
it's going to bite you in the butt.
Do you remember what you told me I had to do?
No, Tom.
You don't?
I might.
When I was sitting in that loneliness and all of the things I've been avoiding. I
Uh-huh.
said this in the first like a
Okay.
couple episodes with Bob as he sat in here with me.
Okay.
And I've referred to it a lot to our listeners
Okay.
in other episodes. Um, it's sitting in my own shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how that was
Yeah.
also one of the few
Well,
times
yeah.
you instructed me to do something
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was sitting here
Yes.
unknowingly
I do remember that.
what to do.
Yeah.
And you kind of said, much like ripping off the Band-Aid and telling the boys about their mom, is Tom, it's time to sit in your own shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna have to smell it, dude.
Exactly. Thank you. You took the words. I was about ready to say it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you said you got to sit there, you
Yeah.
got to smell it, you got to sit in it because you
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah.
You've avoided it, and now
Yeah.
it's built up this stench.
Yeah.
You know, it.
Your shit smells, man.
Yeah,
I hate to tell you that. It doesn't
it's
smell like roses or whatever, you know, it
it's
stinks.
not like dog poop, you know? It's like dog, dogs when
Yeah,
dogs go to the
yeah,
bathroom, like, I think, it smells pretty
yeah,
bad right off the start, and if you wait and come
yep,
back later, it's not bad, it's
yeah,
easier to clean up, things of that nature. Grief is the opposite. Grief grief, like food, will spoil.
mm,
If grief ignored, will bubble up,
well, and it'll smell.
and it will do a lot of bad things to
Yep,
you. So, um, I think there's a lot of things where too much of anything is a bad thing, and will create that inability to accept the cause of the grief, the cause of the pain,
yep,
and blocks
yeah,
that growth from really happening. But yeah, that whole time frame brought up, the heartbreak, the heartache.
yep,
Um, what I thought was joy was distraction. There was a lot in there.
mhm, yeah,
And that was the biggest shift in my life in the grief journey, was
yeah,
realizing the
yeah,
avoidance of
yeah,
my own
yes,
needs.
yes. Yeah, you would consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that goes back to the therapy. You could have probably sat there a bunch of times and told me a bunch of things. I probably wouldn't have paid attention to them. I wouldn't have listened to them, but
Mhm,
that's also not your job. Your job is to help me make sense
yep,
of the process and the journey I'm on.
yep,
And it was just coming to head at that point.
mhm,
Um, so it was really something else. I think I remember describing it to you as, for most of my life, my my mind, my heart, my spirit, like those three parts of me were always kind of fighting for space, fighting for
yeah,
time in my head,
yep,
for attention, and it even got exacerbated during grief. Um, and it was in November. It was after I started running and started, like, after I sat in my shit for a little bit
yep,
and smelled it. Um, like, it started to improve and get better,
the way it works.
and the acceptance of it and the
Mhm,
understanding of what you went through. And
right,
my sibling Jonathan was another key part
mhm.
of that, of helped me accept what I went through and sat in. And I think that was amazing. But what other, you had some other questions and ideas, and what questions for me, as far as like the stories from the couch and our experiences together?
Well, you're answering one of the biggest questions I ask you, which was what expectations you had back then that you see are no longer working for you, right?
Hmm.
Some of the expectations that you've had to drop, give up, especially when shit started to smell,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Um, I still am battling the expectations of others
Right.
of me going through this
Yeah.
grief.
Yeah.
And that's not just going through the grief. Like, and it's hard to understand, like, until you're kind of like sitting in the front row of the funeral yourself.
Exactly.
Like, and you got to think about that. Like, if
Yes.
you've been to a funeral, like, there's some level of grief you have. Grief is the one and only emotion as a human race we will all
Yeah.
experience together.
It's a common
We
emotion.
we
Yeah.
all don't have to love, we all
Yeah.
don't have to hate, but
Exactly.
we all
Yeah.
experience loss, and the
Oh,
grief
yeah.
from that loss, the severity or where you're at on the spectrum of that loss will
Uh,
different, and it's
yeah.
the number of
And
losses you have that build up your spectrum and how you handle that. And that's something I talk about in a later piece, but I think that's just
well, I deal with it. I'm not a grief expert per se, but every single session that I'm in, somebody's dealing with some form of grief,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And I
Everybody, loss every single session. And it's not death. I'm referring to like having to give something up.
up. And that's what the goal of this podcast is going to be when we get into season 3 and 4 and on. I have people that are agreeing to come in season 3 that have gone through divorce, through financial loss. They've been caregivers to cancer patients themselves. So grief comes in many forms, and the acceptance of what you're going is real serious. I think the expectations of what I have is I guess what's changed the most, go back to your question, is the need for me to explain
Yeah.
my actions.
Yeah.
Like,
Justify them in some form or
yeah, like I
fashion.
think at the earlier beginning, like I did a lot of trips with the
Yeah.
boys. Like we went to Disney, we went to Duke games, I purposely took the boys to all of these different places. We went with their mom to build these core memories.
Mhm.
And I purposely took them back sooner rather than later to let them understand that there is joy in the things we
Mhm.
did with their mom that we can do again without her. And I remember back then I was like telling that to everyone, like to try to explain myself
Yep.
of why I was doing all these
Yep.
things. And I really don't care what anyone thinks about the way I did that. I think it was absolutely perfect for me. I think it was absolutely perfect for the boys. I wouldn't go back and change one thing. I don't care what anyone says to me. I'm so okay with it. And I didn't
Yeah.
need to explain it to anyone to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah. You were, the word is, it's not my word, but hustling, right, for their understanding or their acceptance.
Yeah. And
You didn't
that's
have to
just
do
how I
that.
wanted to handle
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Ugly or not, that's just
Exactly.
how I did it. And I was happy with
Yeah.
it. But back then I was explaining it
Yep.
and trying to get justification and validation for it.
Yeah.
And I am more today not openly
Yeah.
talking like that.
Good.
Um,
Takes a lot of energy to do
yeah, there's been
that.
conversations like where someone might say, hey, but it's like it's normally a healthy conversation. There's nothing ill-willed about it. There might be a couple random ones that have happened
Mhm.
of just someone like not clearly having the expectations of where I should like people expecting me to act one way in a relationship or at some kind of level with them on a one-on-one basis and them even acknowledging the fact that they had no right to hold me at that level, but they still did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even admitting that to
Yeah.
me doesn't fix it. That has irreparable damage. It has problems that come from it. It has levels of acceptance that we have trouble getting over. But where I've come okay with it, I guess just reiterating again, is I'm becoming more okay with not explaining my position on it because it's my story, it's my experience. And until someone is in that scenario themselves and it be someone I care about their opinion, I just don't think there's a reason to explain myself to them. So that's probably the answer to that question.
Yeah. And I guess thinking about this whole conversation, I think it's important to remind everybody, don't be afraid of grief because it's
Mhm.
moments like this that you have those realizations. It's through that pain and that process and the
Yeah.
community and getting perspective from other people that you trust, not the people who are there to give you platitudes. 'Cause that's a whole nother conversation. It's
Yeah.
more about them being uncomfortable about what to say to you, right? But it's through this journey that you grow.
Yeah. It's it's that growth. It's going through the roller coaster
Yes,
of like the judgment, the joy, the heartache, the confusion, like all those
exactly.
different things that
Yes,
come
all
into
the
play.
things, all the
Yeah,
things.
that's part of the growth model in this.
Yep.
And if we block it and keep those from
Yeah, we fight
happening,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe that's why I never really saw my big anger swell come up
yeah.
is because I felt like I have been more open about it. I've been more accepting of it. Um, and I just think that's been an okay part of it. So yeah. I don't know.
Well,
What other questions do you have?
it's. I have one final thought. It's
Okay.
like this idea of displacement. You take something away, you've got to, something will take its place, right?
Mhm.
In theory, what we want to happen is we want something that's worthwhile, something that's good, healthy, wholesome to replace it. But what we tend to do is we tend to grab in our desperation
Mhm.
the closest available thing. And oftentimes that is not healthy.
Ooh, nail, meat, head. Um,
You've said that a few times in our session.
yeah, yeah. I mean, literally and figuratively around here, that's been the case. And um, I don't think there's anything I go back and regret doing or handling. I think that's
Sure.
part of the
Well, it's
messy.
out of survival, though, and
Yeah,
I don't blame anybody for doing that. It's out of survival.
yeah. It's my whole life hasn't been clean. We talked about that
Yeah.
of like some of the mistakes I made in my college years and
Right?
some of the decisions I made as a younger person and run-ins with, you know, police tickets and things like that. It was what it was. So,
Don't wanna
um,
incriminate yourself.
yeah, I don't want to incriminate my people I think still like me out there. I don't need to give them any more reason, but yeah, I think this was a healthy opportunity today, a
Yeah.
healthy conversation
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hopefully people can get some context around my story a little bit
Yeah.
if they want
Yeah.
it. I know we just talked about I'm not explaining myself. I don't think we have been here. I think what we tried to once again explain to people is how there are going to be a lot of things around you going on during your grief journey that at times will feel really right and appropriate. And it's hard in those moments understanding how much is too much. I think if you surround yourself with a circle of people you trust, whether it be friends, therapist, family, uh, it's not a big circle of people. It's a small circle, that can help navigate through some of those points and those levels of acceptance. But um, this has been a good episode to talk about how easy it is to avoid reality, avoid acceptance,
Right.
but then also how easy it gets after you stop avoiding and accept.
It's kind of ironic how that works.
Yeah, like we think it's easy to do it
Yeah.
this way, and then it's even
Yeah.
easier when we find it. Because here I am since that moment where I thought I had everything
Right.
handled
Right.
back in
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
in late October, November, to spiraling out of control again, to where now there's a balance in my spirituality, my my mental state. I've even picked up running and
Exactly.
exercising, and there is a harmony within me that I don't know the last time I experienced. But I think the most important thing is to understand, just like in your therapy, whether it's for yourself with a couple's
Yes.
therapy or in
Right.
grief, there's no finish line.
You know,
None.
and the
Right, Ryan? I mean,
exactly.
if the moment you think there's a
Yes.
finish line you're crossing,
Yes.
you
Well,
you're not thinking about it right.
well, life, and this is not my metaphor, but life is very much like the ocean. The waves do not stop. There's tide, right? You cannot stop the ocean. And life is going to happen just because it is what it is. And oftentimes what we do, it's kind of like surfing, you're out there trying to ride these waves of life, trying to figure them out. And if you try to go against a wave, what's going to happen? If you try to run away from the wave, what's going to happen? Well, it's in those moments where you're going to get sucked under and overtaken by the wave. But what you've got to do, and this is what we're talking about, is therapy is like hanging out with a surfing instructor, learning how to ride a wave.
Mhm.
I'm like the least thing from a surfer guy ever, but I don't know a thing about surfing, but
It's a great analogy.
it's learning how to ride that wave so that you go into shore. It's like, hey, there's a wave coming. I know exactly what to do. I know to get up on my board and find my balance.
We need to do a much better job at recording our analogies. And we joke about the great analogies we have in our conversations to help connect the dots. And what a great one that was you just shared of like grief being like the ocean,
Yeah,
like where the waves come
yeah,
in and we can sit there and kind of like tread through it and ride those
yes,
waves up and down and like kind of get
yes,
pulled underneath the undertow, but
yes,
come back up and kind of
and
struggle through those. But if we learn how to then surf
yeah,
those waves, we can get up and
yeah,
ride them
yeah,
and get through them a little bit easier. Not mean we're going to fall off our board still
right,
and have those ugly moments,
yeah,
but there's going to be easier moments because of it as well.
exactly. And you're also more willing to learn how to retool and learn how to ride waves because no wave is the same, and
Right.
it's going to hit you differently.
Yeah. Um, any other questions, things that have been like in the
You
back of your
really want
mind
me to
before?
ask you questions,
Well, no,
Tom?
we're here about to
Man,
wrap up
yeah,
because here we are. And Like, I bet our listeners want us to come back together for more and talk more about
Yeah,
other
this
stories,
was
and
really good.
I hope you found as much goodness out of this as I did. So if you had I only know to ask you for questions because I know you came with some questions,
Yeah.
and so, like, if
How
there's
much time do
one
we have left?
I think it's however much time you wanna have
Oh,
left.
don't give me that control.
Like, we need to be wrapped up, like, in the next 20, so I think,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
if there's more than one of those questions you have, like, let's knock
Ooh,
it out, but
gosh. Yeah, this always is a big deal. How people we already talked about it, but what has been some of the most helpful things? Like, okay, say for example, to your listeners who are not currently experiencing grief, all right, but they want to help someone, right, who
Mhm.
is grieving. So, in your experience, Tom, with grief, what are some of the helpful things that other people have given you along the way? And what are some of the unhelpful things in their
Um,
response to your grief?
there's been a whole lot of layers of helpful. I go back to talking about some of the families around the neighborhood,
Right.
you know, like there's one family, like for a lot this past winter, like offered to take the boys like at 5 o'clock when the babysitter got done and like would invite the boys up to the house for dinner and then take them to Bible study with their kids,
Mm-hmm.
and she was going to a Bible study group at the church as well. So she would
Mm-hmm.
just bring them home. So it gave me like one night a week to like make a dinner I wanted to have for me,
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
or watch
Yeah.
like I remember a lot of times I would make like just a burger and like drop some fries in the air fryer or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever my favorite food was. I love making Brussels sprouts. I'd make whatever food I really loved and the boys wouldn't eat great. And I get a TV tray, like one of those little TV tables,
Right.
and like I'd turn on a movie or like a TV show and like while there was still like light coming in or like it was just like I got to experience
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
like some time,
Yeah. Exactly.
like so that like those little kinds of helpful things like where I didn't have to ask for it because we talked about asking for help. Like I hate asking for help. I was the one that people usually asked,
Yeah.
like, Tom, can you help us with
Yeah.
this? I need help figuring out that. You know, like I never wanted to be the person that needed to ask for help. I always wanted to be wasn't something I wanted to do. And I've had to ask for so much help the last 2 years. It's been
Mm-hmm.
really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. Easier with family. So difficult here because I haven't known any of these families like for longer than 5 years. It's like people I in the life of things, 5 out of my 43 years are some of the people I'm asking the most out of
Mm-hmm.
right now. And that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, when someone offers to do something without me having to ask, that's been really, really helpful to have someone reach out like that. On the other hand, like what's not been helpful, I don't know. Like I could easily say like some of the things people have like come up and said to me, but I know a lot of those comments don't come out of a place of like hurt. It's just because they don't know any better.
Right. Right.
And so like the thing I would say is for those going through grief who have those people come up to you and say that, yeah, you're going to hear some things that sound off, that sound weird. And there's also going to be completely inappropriate things people ask of you. And that's going to happen. And I'm sorry that happens. I think on the grounds of some of the less helpful things that come across are like the assumptions people come in with.
Right.
Um, when they assume like you're going to be here or going to be at this level or that you're okay with hearing this or like there's just like they want to hold you to a different standard
Well, they're
because they
hold,
don't care where you're really
yeah,
at.
they're
Like,
holding you to their standard.
yeah, they
Yeah.
want you to come and meet them at their level.
Yes.
And it's not that they're wrong. Like, they're not right, but they're not wrong if I wasn't in this scenario.
Yeah. Well, it's also that I don't think many people are aware that they're doing.
Agreed.
It can be a subconscious sort of out of your awareness thing, and
Yeah.
it's more about, again, you. If I was in that situation, they're just they don't know how and what to do with grief, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What I found to be most helpful, and it just kind of came to me, what I was trying to
There you
think,
go.
was one thing I learned in Grief Share
Okay.
that I think was really important that I thought was very true is that they teach us going through grief is to be okay, to be very specific in asking what you need
Yes.
from the people you need it from.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's okay to do that.
Yeah. Because I think people want to show up for you like that, and they
Yes.
don't know how to show up for you
Yes.
like that. So, what I had to teach myself to do was be very specific in what I asked for people.
Right.
But then I honestly then kind of expected them to talk to me back that way, and they didn't. So, a little bit of my own fault. But what sucked were the people I said that to
It's hard.
and didn't listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the people that you want them to listen, or you would expect that
Yeah.
they would.
Because those were the people that
Yeah.
ended up being some of the closest to me, like the
Yeah.
random people and families, in the soccer club and the
Yeah.
neighbor,
Yeah. You don't care so much about
Well,
that.
like
Yeah.
they listened,
Yeah.
like more attentively than
okay.
anyone else.
That then was surprising then.
Yeah,
Like, well, I
it
didn't
was.
expect you to, but you did.
So
Right.
I think if someone's going through grief and they come to you with something they need,
Yep.
you need to be really honest with them right there. Like, yes, I can do this, or no, I cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Because that person going through it does not want to go back and think, what did I do wrong?
Exactly. Yes.
Like, I don't need to deal with anything else.
Yes. I don't need to take care of your feelings of disappointment right now.
Yeah.
If I say no, or yeah.
Like, I've dealt with enough harshness right
Yep.
now. You can tell me, no, you don't
Yep.
want to go to this, or
Yep.
no, you can't handle that, or whatever, whatever. Like, be honest. Don't
Yep.
lie. Don't
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
That's almost a truth statement.
Exactly.
Not even going through grief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Life.
Life in general.
So, well, good final question. I think we've had this camera angle over all day today. It's just been over there in the corner getting us. Hi. Thank you again.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing,
Yeah.
if this is something you're open to, maybe our viewers and listeners will say something and want you to come back for another session down the road where we can talk about
I'm open to that.
other stories or other things that happen. We have Dave shows to enjoy this summer, and we have more sessions and stories from the Couch to Experience that might bring on a whole great thing. So Ryan, thank you so much again for the time. And I know this is time where you can be helping other patients, where you can be helping grow your practice and do so many other things than sit in here with me.
Oh,
But once again, your dedication to your profession and to trying to help others is just now in a new form and a non-traditional form than you've done before. So I'm so happy you were a part of this with me and for our viewers and listeners through Guide Through Grief. So thank you so much
you're very
for being
welcome,
here.
Tom.
And and thank you out there for listening and taking the time today and through past episodes. We just have a couple more episodes left of this season, and then we'll be on to season 2. And just remember, grief has no finish line. We said it today. It's like that great movie, The Never Ending Story, or at least the title.
It's a never-ending story.
It never ends. It's just opportunity built on one another to grow and to be more well-versed for the next time. And that next time is your time. There's no pace. There's no instruction manual for how you're going to handle grief. So I hope this episode and other episodes have helped you put definition and a path for your grief journey, because I know you got this. I know you're going to get it. I'm getting it. We're all going to get this.
Right.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today. I hope today's episode will help guide you forward. My goal for this podcast has always been to create a safe place for people who are navigating their grief journey to lean on one another and share their own experiences. I ask that you share, subscribe, like, and comment so we know how to best support you. Finally, we rely on listeners like you to help keep this journey going. Guide Through Grief is dependent on the support and contributions from you. please consider supporting the show and our cause. Visit our social media pages or click the link in our description for more information. Thank you.